I'm assuming you can read, which is why you clicked on the video, so I'm not going to waste time explaining the premise. Let's just get into it. First things first, if you're a returning watcher, thank you, and you might know that I'm a man who fucks with formulas. So we got another one right here. The categories are pretty self-explanatory, other than the last one, really. The vibes category more so just covers my personal enjoyment of the special, as well as how fondly I remember it. At least before I rewatched everything. With that covered, we got 24 specials to rank across 18 years of the trio, so here is my, and when I say my, I mean my, personal ranking of the greatest Top Gear and Grand Tour specials. In 24th place with a score of 17 out of 50, we're getting this one out the way. Eurocrash is by far the worst special the trio has done over the years. The premise of the special is quite literally based around how no one's ever driven from Poland to Hungary with the goal of seeing cool shit. Now, did they find some cool shit and drive some cool, albeit pretty ass cars, other than the Formula cars? Those were fun. Yes, but the problem is, this is a special. Had this been marketed as a regular Grand Tour episode, it probably would have been viewed a lot better in the eyes of many, including me. I feel as if I need to put into perspective how good the specials are compared to even regular TV. These scores are all like relative to each other in the competition of what are the greatest specials, not to anything else. So with all that being said, I think it's pretty unanimous that the Central Europe special is definitely the worst. In 23rd place with a score of 19 out of 50, Carnage à Trois is one of the only two pandemic specials, meaning they couldn't leave the island of Britain. So why would they do a French Cars special? Like, it's another case of good TV, great content, but it's not a good special. You explore France's car history while not being in France, which was no fault of their own, but like, why do it in the first place? You know what I'm saying? Like, I still enjoy the episode quite a bit because I think it's actually funnier than a lot of the specials, but it's not a special. In 22nd place with a score of 24 out of 50, this is probably going to be my first hot take of the video, but I seriously hate the India special. I don't know why, but something about it just doesn't mix with me. The premise is pretty funny overall. The Brits coming back to ruin and make amends with India through cars, and Hammond absolutely had the right idea choosing the Mini. But the challenges throughout the special and the humor, and most importantly to me, the vibes were just not there. The locations were fucking gorgeous though, especially near the end. In 21st place with a score of 26 out of 50, the other pandemic special, Lockdown, or the Scotland special, focuses on the golden era of American muscle and pony cars, but it has the same issues as the prior specials minus the India special. It's good TV, but the premise was just covering history in a place where that history has no relevance to the area. Now, to their credit, that was kind of the point. Highlight why American muscle cars never took off in Britain. But like, we already knew why. The best part of this special is the 2 times 2 of the guys get drenched by water in 2 different ways. So it's like, I mean, yeah, that shit was frying me when I first watched it. It still does. I laughed my ass off when fucking Hammond flipped the boat over. It's not really special, is it? In 20th place with a score of 28 out of 50, A Massive Hunt, which is the reunion treasure hunt special. I think the premise of this special was probably the best part of it. I don't think the execution was the best. This special is just one of those ones that I don't have many words for. Location was beautiful, idea was great, cars were fine. That's it, really. In 19th place with a score of 29 out of 50, the Namibia special, or the Beach Buggy Boys special, was the first special the guys did on the Grand Tour, and I'd say they did a pretty good job. The Namibia special is mainly carried by my personal enjoyment of it. I mean, the premise was to prove beach buggies aren't shit, which was proven thoroughly wrong. The execution of it was pretty good, but it was mostly carried by the fact that Namibia is Namibia. So regardless of what they were bringing, it was going to be funny to watch. In 18th place with a score of 30 out of 50, the Scandinavia special. Pretty weird. It's pretty weird to me. Mainly because May was the one who crashed the most, somehow having worse accidents in one special than a majority of Hammond's accidents throughout his career, you know, destroying supercars and, you know, jets and shit. The premise of the special was to appreciate the rally-focused sedans of the, you know, late 90s, early 2000s, so WRX, Evo. It was cool, the idea is cool, but it's not cool enough to dedicate a full special to, especially considering the specials they'd already done by that point. All that being said, I actually really like it. I like a Scandi flick. Something about the more extreme environments like tundras and deserts that really gets me when it comes to the specials. Plus, the humor being focused on James crashing, that's just inherently funny and also quite a trip up after watching them for so long. The cars were sick too, especially the fucking Evo. Shit just wouldn't die. In 17th place with a score of 31 out of 50, the Columbia Special. Probably one of the more creative ones, I'd say, in terms of premises, at least. The Columbia Special was the one where they were trying to be wildlife photographers. It was the first special in a while where they seemed like they were genuinely getting upset, which led to the ditch incident, which is so fucking funny. Probably top 10 moments of the trio, I'm not gonna lie. The cars I'm indifferent to. The premise as well, I think it's an interesting idea, but it's like the location and humor are what carry the special, really. Fucking Edgar Hussein. That shit was frying me. In 16th place with a score of 32 out of 50, Feed the World, which was the Mozambique special. Being the second special on the Grand Tour, it definitely was improved compared to the Namibia Beach Buggy special in terms of the reasoning behind it. Obviously, it was a not so subtle jab at celebrities taking interest in poor places across the world only when a disaster hits, so they were going to do their part and like deliver fish to a village in 3 pieces of shit. I fuck with the cars and the recurring brake check on James with Hammond repeatedly eating shit and dying was, that's also great. But the location was not good. I'm gonna be honest. It was all the same for like the 200 miles they went. Now, was it a harsh 200 miles? Yes, but just not my favorite. In 15th place, the weirdest special for sure in both name and premise, with a score of 33 out of 50, Seamen. Without a doubt, this is the weirdest special they've done, solely because they returned to a location or general area they'd gone to twice by that point, Burma special and Vietnam special, and they weren't using roads or anything with wheels. Actually, they were using boats. The goal of the special was cool, mainly as it had real historical context to it, which is always appreciated in one of the trio specials, and the humor and vibes are great too. However, I like cars. I don't really like boats. So the switch up was pretty weird to me, especially as this was their first special since they were done the traditional format of, talk about a car, review a car, have a celebrity, some sort of film, feature film, something, I don't know. It doesn't mean it wasn't cool, it was just not my cup of sludge, In 14th place with a score of 34 out of 50, the USA Special. And I have a feeling this one might be controversial, but we're rocking with it. The US Special was the trio's second special, maybe their first, depending on who you ask, but regardless, it showed in some ways. I think it says something that the most memorable moment of their trip was one that wasn't even remotely planned, but in the end it worked in their favor as it sort of contributed to the overall idea that the South fucking sucks. The premise was cool, buying versus renting. The humor was great, mainly because it was so blatant, and the ending, speaking on the corruption of the world's richest government, was weirdly poignant, even if it was marred by, young boy's ancestors pulling up on the crew with shotguns and telling them to get the fuck out. But regardless, the nostalgia of this special is what carries it the most. Yes, it released before I was born, but little 7-year-old me binged the fuck out of Top Gear to catch up to the newest series, so the US Special is indeed quite special to me. At the time, I didn't realize that the Winter Olympics special was a special, so I thought this was the first one, and I was like, ooh, that's like the special they just did. The one in that country I don't know, in the Southeast Asia place. Little 7-year-old me, little dumbass. So the nostalgia really carries it. In 13th place, with a score of 35 out of 50, the Winter Olympics special. The first special the trio did, or not, depending on who you ask. They're wrong, but it definitely set a pretty high bar. The trio went to Norway because they thought Italy was too warm for the Winter Olympics and proceeded to host a bunch of Olympic events featuring cars. For me, the best part about the special is just the vibes, and I mean it literally this time around. The fact that the special doesn't even feature Hammond till the 4th event or something like that, it makes it feel so much more homely and unscripted and DIY. I fuck with the vibe. Combining that with the humor, well, you got yourself something that a lot of specials are. Cozy. It's a cozy ass special. In 12th place with a score of 36 out of 50, the International Buffoons Vacation, which is the RV special. Probably one of the more forgotten specials, I believe. It's still pretty popular, but in terms of everything else, I'd say this is definitely on the less popular end. But purely off of my personal opinion, this is my favorite special, without a doubt. I have specials that I think are better, of course, because this is 12th and not 1st. But this is my favorite special. I have no idea why, but every time I watch it, it's like a smile on my face appears that I can't wipe off till the episode's over. A nigga could shoot me in the ribs and I'd probably still be laughing at the party scene, or Hammond walking buck naked across an RV park, or like, you know, the fucking American being an alien that keeps showing up and Jeremy literally has schizophrenia. The premise is pretty funny too, you know, a forced vacation they don't want to take. The humor, top tier, but the biggest issue I have with it is the RVs in the RV special. The best part of the special automotive wise was the drifting lessons that they had in the cars that called back to the time they went to Bonneville, and the off-road race trucks or race cars, whatever they were, that, you know, May was addicted to. Regardless though, the special's hilarious, right? It's absolutely underrated, and if you don't remember it, please go watch it. Oh yeah, when he was sitting on top of the RV too, and he like literally cooked himself like bacon and nearly died. That was, Jeremy did that. That was, oh well, you can imply, because who's sitting on the roof driving? It's not James, it's not Richard. It's gonna be Jeremy. Yeah, that moment also fries me. In 11th place with a score of 37 out of 50, Sand Job, which is the Mauritania special. And I believe that the Mauritania special is pretty awesome. I feel like it loses a lot of credit due to being the second last piece of media the trio would ever do like together. The premise is fine. Find replacements to the Huracán Dorado. Do the bottom half of the Paris-Dakar rally. Like, yeah, it's a pretty cool premise. The cars are absolutely the best part of the special though. 3 supercars modified to look like rally cars and act like rally cars, and they cross the Sahara. That's pretty cool. But the other thing is the location. While it was practically only desert, it was still like fucking beautiful to me. I compare the Mauritania special to things like the Burma special. I think it's pretty equivalent in terms of location. The endless blue skies and off-road supercars, that's just great vibes. And the little history detour they had at the world's oldest library or whatever the fuck it was, and then they filled the Maserati with sand. That was pretty interesting to me, but that's just because I'm a fucking dork. Regardless, I feel like that the switch between that guy in the library who said he was offered to leave his home for money and he couldn't because the knowledge here was irreplaceable and has no dollar value, to then James May stepping outside and seeing his Maserati full of sand, that's the embodiment of the trio, like without a doubt. That is the clearest example of what they are. They teach you something and then schizophrenic, just flat out schizophrenic. I love it, man. I love it. And it's at this point now where I gotta make a distinction. Every single in the top 10 is within a different tier of greatness to all the others prior. Like, no matter what order they're categorized by, I feel as if it's pretty widely agreed that these are the best of the trio specials. So, let's see what order I put them in. In 10th place with a score of 39 out of 50, the Polar Special. The first Top Gear special to be filmed in HD, still probably the most ambitious special they've done, at least in theory. An absolute classic. A race to the North Pole between a midget with some dogs and an old school explorer versus 2 drunk retards in a Hilux, with those 2 drunk retards being the first people to ever reach the North Pole in a car. I feel as if there's not much to say regarding the Polar Special. The location and premise are still probably my favorites in the trio's history, tied with some upcoming ones actually now that I think about it, and the humor and vibes are still great. It's the first certified classic, I think, in my eyes, on this list. One of those you literally cannot miss it kind of specials. In 9th place with a score of 42 out of 50, the Burma special. And this was the first special I got to watch as it aired back in 2014, so I was pretty lucky. The Burma special has or Myanmar special if you're more inclined to that, has a certain nostalgia to it that only 2 other specials hold even a candle to for me. The goal of it was to recreate the story of the bridge over the River Kwai, except doing the journey in trucks that were definitely used for drug smuggling, as well as they were not building a bridge over the River Kwai, it was over the River Kok, which is... And they also drank cock liquor. Yeah, cock juice. And partied with cock. Sorry, my fault. Now, the actual environment in Burma was never my favorite. I don't know why, but everything else was amazing. Especially the humor and the cars used, or the trucks, not the cars, I'm foolish. And the party they held with the militia in the Shan state was funny to me at the time, but I only learned about 2 months ago that Top Gear was the first Western media outlet to have any footage documenting life in the Shan state at all since, you know, the whole civil war started there, which only made it funnier to me as the trio were basically having a sleepover with fucking hardened soldiers in the middle of a 6-decade long civil war. Most of them probably were war criminals, and they were just drinking cock liquor with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's ridiculous. In 8th place with a score of 43 out of 50, the Patagonia special. And you see, now we're truly at the point where by the time I'm editing this video, my mind's probably changed on where I rank some of these specials. The infamous Patagonia special was the second and last Top Gear special I ever got to watch as it aired, sort of, because I watched some of the more ambitious episodes during the Chris Harris, Rory Reed, Matt LeBlanc era of season 25 and 26, which, by the way, I know it's sacrilegious, all right? Season 24 might have been the worst fucking thing ever. Season 26 was all right, and everything after that was terrible, but season 25 really wasn't that bad. I'm gonna be honest. Season 25 was actually pretty good. They had some good specials, they had some cool cars, cool ideas, and I'll be honest, during that one season, I think Rory Reed, Matt LeBlanc, Chris Harris really worked together pretty well. Now, I'm not comparing them to the trio before you guys literally lynch me. It was good TV, and I dare say it was good Top Gear. It's just, it's not the trio, all right? It's not the trio. We know that. The goal of making amends between the Argentinian and British people was funny at first, ironic later, but the little subplot of following Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was also pretty cool, all while driving 3 V8 sports cars that somehow had no correlation to each other than the V8. The chicken story, the views, and the eventual near-death experience made this quite a fitting final special for the trio on Top Gear, but it's crazy to think that all it took for us to lose them early was some people who, you know, choose to bring guns over a misunderstanding rather than eggs and rocks. Argentina, hey, listen to me, Argentina. Never stop being the Israel of South America. We love you. I will be making a video on the Argentinian auto history soon, though. Watch out. Brazil, too. In 7th place with a score of 44 out of 50, the Vietnam special. And I know damn well some dude just paused this video to go to the comments. This might be one of my more controversial opinions I have on this list. Maybe on my whole channel. I know how sacred the Vietnam special is. It's an all-time classic regarding TV, and my ranking doesn't do it justice. Or any of the upcoming specials, really. But with that said, the motorcycles don't do it for me. They just don't do it for me. It's the core premise of the special, but they don't do it for me. Yes, they absolutely created the humor of the journey, you know, traveling from Ho Chi Minh or Saigon to Ha Long Bay on some dinky ass motorcycles with no helmets and the spray paint lady and poking fun at the Americans. But I just found myself so much more interested in the location and humor than anything else, which I guess was kind of the point of Top Gear. But for me, cool cars really did matter, and the bikes they had, just, again, they didn't do it for me. All that to say, it's still arguably a top 3 special. I'm just ranking it 7th because I don't like the bikes. I appreciate the bikes and what they did for the content, but I just don't like them. In 6th place with a score of 45 out of 50, the Bolivia special. And I think this might be the special that has the highest ranking for me compared to what other people think about it. I'm not sure. I don't really hear people talking about the Bolivia special. When I was talking about the RV special earlier, you know, how the vibes make me smile uncontrollably, this special does the exact same thing, but almost like twice as potently. I'm not really sure why. But the whole idea of trying to cross the Amazon and the Andes in some rusty piece of shit 4x4s, I really fucked with it. I have no idea why. Like, in reality, it's not really mind-blowing for the trio, you know? Without a doubt, though, the location plus the humor of Jeremy being macheted to death and cocaine and plum liqueur and, you know, sinking in shit, literally. Just a masterpiece to me, man. Out of all the specials the trio's done, I feel as if Bolivia really does get overlooked in terms of how hard it was. People always point to Vietnam or the Polar special, even the Patagonia special, as their hardest trips, even the Mongolia special, but Bolivia by far made me feel as if they were the most uncomfortable there. The bugs, the heights, the manual labor. I think it's been the only special to touch on all 3 of the guys' phobias. But yeah, I love the Bolivia special. I really do love it, man. I think it's the one I rewatched the most besides the upcoming entry, which is 5th place with a score of 46 out of 50, the Middle Eastern special. It's without a doubt my personal favorite special in terms of vibes, tied with another actually. The 3 wise men premise is just, it's probably the most fitting special ever actually. You know, you follow the route of the 3 wise men in the modern Middle East. That's hilarious and extremely well timed considering that was it aired in 2010, about the end of 2010, Christmas, so 3 months before the Arab Spring happened. The coupes were also funny to use considering it was the Middle East and, you know, America and the Middle East. But my biggest problem with the special was the fact they, like, you know, went into Israel, but, like, you can't really teleport to Jerusalem. Only Israelis can teleport. We know that already, so it's like, you know, you can't really escape that. But the rest of the locations were fucking sick. Traveling through the desert, with James later telling the story of, they got recognized by a guy who owned, like, a kebab stand in the middle of the Syrian desert. He didn't even have a TV. How did you know him? That's crazy to me, first of all. And like the running gag of they don't want to be seen because they're British in the Middle East, and then they just arrive in every location and every single person has a welcoming party for them. And the border crossing, the Turkish border crossing with the guy, he has the 50 cal lighter. That shit, it's just, every time I watch the Middle Eastern special, it's that cozy feeling I mentioned earlier. It makes me feel, it teleports me back to a time that was simpler and calmer for me for some reason. Which is ironic considering it's, you know, the Middle East special. I love it, man. I really do. I can never get sick of it. In fourth place with a score of 47 out of 50, One for the Road. I don't think I need to say much other than this. Other than Leaves from the Vine and the tribute to Mako in Avatar and Soap's death in Modern Warfare 3, this was the only other piece of media I've ever cried to. Going back to Botswana and seeing the same cars that really shot them into the stratosphere of, you know, popularity and influence, standing on this same rock that, you know, gave us one of the most beautiful shots in TV history. And then in this special, they did it again and it was somehow even better. I don't know, man. I still actually haven't rewatched this special since it first came out. This was the only special I didn't rewatch. Not even for this video. I feel as if it's too sad. I might just be a bitch, but these dudes really did shape who I am today. So watching their last ever piece of media together, for now at least, again would break me. Again, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer during my summer, you know what I'm saying? So I'd rather just remember practically everything about that special because I don't think I can ever forget it. It's an amazing special, like without a doubt. It is an amazing special, you know? Sad, but amazing. And finally, the podium. Starting with third place at a score of 48 out of 50, the Botswana special, where now I know I reach my most controversial opinion. I love the Botswana special to death. Just because it's not first doesn't mean I hate it, okay? Please, just keep that in mind. Without a doubt, if there was an influence or like iconicness category in my formula, the Botswana special could probably win the rankings just off of that alone. Who would have thought that trying to prove that you don't need four-wheel drive cars to go off-roading would have turned into one of the most iconic episodes of television ever put to air, regardless of genre. Oliver, African Stig, The Views, James nearly turning into fucking, what was it, Zimbabwe, where he almost got shot and killed because the BBC isn't allowed there. It all works to just be so cozy, man. I can't put into words how important the Botswana special is. It's a genuinely important piece of media. It needs to be, like, preserved. I think it's the most special. In second place with a score of 49 out of 50, this might be a little bit out of left field for some, but I stand by it. The Mongolia special, or otherwise known as Survival of the Fattest. Mongolia special is absolutely deserving of this spot. I genuinely believe it was their hardest journey solely because they got no liquor. And the whole harshest terrain and having to build their own car and terrible weather and no liquor. And did I mention no beer as well? No beer and no alcohol. The premise of being dropped off in the middle of nowhere, Mongolia, and then they have 7 days to get where they need to go, moron, or they die, is just, that's hilarious. Above all else though, John is the best part of the special. Like, the fucker literally withstands everything that comes his way, including the bumpy minefield, the storms, and Hammond. Still some of the prettiest views the trio's ever seen, and by far it was the best car used in any of the specials. Yes, beating Oliver. Yes, beating the motorcycles. Everything. Beyond being the last special of like the OG era where they, you know, had the whole format I talked about earlier, I felt as if it being one of the most ambitious journeys they've ever had while being near the tail end of their career showed their like dedication to the show. The Mongolia special low-key is hurt by the fact that it was on the Grand Tour rather than Top Gear, so it didn't reach as wide an audience, but I promise, if you somehow haven't seen it, it's equal to or better than almost all of the Top Gear specials, and it's easily the greatest Grand Tour special. It's almost the best special they've ever made. Almost being the key word, because in first place with a perfect 50 out of 50 score, the Africa special. I can't put into words how much I enjoy the Africa special. That little asterisk you see on the vibe score, that's meant to represent how I want to rank it much much higher than just a 10, but I'm not trying to break my scales again. The whole premise of the special is easily one of the best they've ever done. Find the source of the Nile? Like, yeah, man, of course it's gonna make a great fucking trip. But then you include the fact that it takes place in Eastern Africa across the Great Lakes region, which is one of the prettiest places on earth. The wagons they used were all peak. The modifications were great. Genius, some may say. And then you top it all off with the classic trio humor. It's easily the most well-balanced special in my opinion. But it takes first place simply because of how much I enjoy it. It's that same situation again where it brings me back to simpler, better days. All of that before mentioning how I feel it's in the big three of iconicness with the Botswana and Vietnam specials. Everything I've said up to this point about the previous specials can be said with the Africa special, and then some. That's how much I love it. And I firmly believe that through all of the gang's travels around the world, over the near 2 decades of specials programming they gave to us, the Africa special was the best and always will be. Unless I change my mind while I'm editing this. And there we go, all the Top Gear Grand Tour specials ranked. Yeah, I've been wanting to make this video for a while, longer than I've actually been making automotive content. As with many of y'all, I'm guessing, Jeremy, Richard, and James mean a lot to me. It was watching them with my dad when I was like a baby, apparently, alongside Gran Turismo, that sparked my love for cars. And I felt as if going through and watching almost all of their specials again was beyond a privilege, you know? Even the lowest ranked specials are still great compared to almost everything else. And I think that's a testament to just, you know, how special the specials were, you know what I'm saying? And how legendary the guys were. But yeah, that's the video. The second channel has 2 new videos on it by the time I'm recording this, so if you want to see me do things that aren't related to cars, like gaming, go there. That would be the place to go. It's more similar to the content I made before switching to car content, and it was an era of my life I missed very dearly. So now I get to do it again, which is sick. Yeah. Other than that, while I was making this video, I hit 5,000 subscribers, which is insane. There's 5,000 people who have chosen to be told when I upload a video, which is crazy. They enjoy my content that much that they're willing to fucking subscribe to me. That's bananas. I remember I thought this back when I hit 100, which is funny. That was a year and a half ago now. And I told myself a room of 100 people telling you you're funny. That's crazy. Now I have to imagine a room of 5,000 people telling me I'm funny. But not only funny, since I make like semi-informative car content, I guess. I'm not going to say I'm the smartest. Since I make semi-informative car content, they think I'm fucking smart too. They want to hear me talk more, which is ridiculous. And I'm eternally thankful for that, man. I'll never forget the day I hit 1,000, and now here I am at 5,000. And I bet within the next year it'll be 10,000 if I keep with this shit. So who knows, man? Who knows? I just want to say, this whole journey started really 10 months ago when I made the Perfect Racing Game video, and now I'm here. It all started with a conscious decision to be like, yeah, I want to take YouTube seriously again. And now YouTube is taking me seriously, which is crazy, man. Crazy. So enough of my yapping and shit. Thank you. And I hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope you have a good day, night, morning, afternoon, whatever. Just have a good one, man. Have a good one.